What's up? So, I swear, like, it's so funny that the only time I have time to make videos right now is when I'm, like, getting ready for my day. I woke up a little bit later today because, healing crisis, and I want to tell you guys about it because it's interesting. And this is, so a healing crisis is another Ascension symptom. And, I was talking about Ascension symptoms the other day, and I wanted to, share my ongoing experience with you while it's happening, because I feel like for some reason, well, I don't feel like, this is what they're telling me to do, and it will be or is relevant now for you or in the future. So what I wanted to share with you is that I got some really big work over the weekend from a colleague who is amazing, obviously, because I only get work from amazing people, because I don't have time to fuck around with people who aren't amazing. And and then I talked to my sister, who is not a blood sister, but my chosen family, which we all have, right? And so two things. The session with my colleague, the table work was ridiculous, as it has been the last few times. And so one of the big things that happened at the end of the session was that there was this like layer of energy that I like could viscerally feel almost coming off of me like a snake, right? And then right after that, or shortly after that, I basically like burst into flame. And so like I was like, my whole body was on fire, and it was so hot and so intense that like my eyes were burning and like tearing up. And I've had like big stuff happen on the table before. I've definitely been like engulfed in flame before, but it's been a while, like how often do you get engulfed in flame in your session? Probably like, once a year or so, because like, why would you do that every session, right? And so of course, like all of these pieces of my life started to fit together afterwards, and I've been like processing that, which is always super fun and interesting. But same day, yesterday, which was Monday, because I have Sunday and Monday off. Yeah, okay, cool. So you had that sensation too. And yeah, so like when that happens, that can lead to what's called a healing crisis. And so the other thing that happened was yesterday I got my, if you've been watching my videos, I ordered, for the cough that I have, I ordered this TCM remedy. It's a traditional Chinese remedy for what's called plum pit qi, which is when it's specifically for women in China, and it was developed because there's like such a phenomena with women developing this plum pit qi, which is kind of like stuck in your throat, creates a cough, amongst other sort of symptoms that can show up. But what it's associated with is not being able to, speak your truth or be heard or act in the world as you're supposed to act in the world, with freedom. And as we know, in a lot of cultures, women in different ways, right? Different ways in different cultures get put into roles of submission and expectation around how they're supposed to show up. And so this remedy was developed because it was such a thing that was happening in China, that they have like a recipe for it, and you can go and buy it online. And so my homegirl, who is certified in traditional Chinese medicine, who is amazing, and I love her, and I want her to live in Portland, but that's another story. She was like, I'm going to order this for you. I'm going to have it shipped to you. I think it's like what you need. And we figured out like the dosage and everything, and I got it, and I started taking it yesterday. Jesus Christ, one pill. fucking pill. I haven't even like gotten it into my system yet, right? Like I was like, like, should I eat with this? Like, how much water should I drink? You know, like whatever. And my healing crisis is that I, by the end of the day, last night, and I took like a bunch of fire cider. If you don't know what fire cider is, it's like a concoction that you make with vinegar. That's like a bunch of immune boosting herbs, and then you like let it sit for like 6 months. And you can make it or you can buy it. And I happened to buy some at a craft thing last winter, and I still had some left, so because it's good for a while. So I took some of that to like help my immune system. I knew it was coming because I was getting this like scratchy throat, and I could feel it like up in my sinuses. And I like it's yeah. So whatever, like it's sort of that like, oh, I'm getting sick, like whatever that is for you. Sometimes you get like your lymph nodes will get swollen, or like your ears will start popping or whatever. And hey boo. And so I like started to feel like I was getting sick, and I was like, fuck man, like I can't get sick right now. Can you take you're gonna have to be more specific. Yeah, you could take the I don't think you need the plum pit thing. But you could take the fire cider if you can find fire cider, because it takes a while to make it. You should make it like in the summer, because you let it sit for a certain amount of time, and then by the winter time when you need it, which is when the cold season happens, you can dose it like you would dose like cough medicine or something. And the fire cider can help like with your immune boosting. But you can do like slippery elm for your sore throat too. That's a really great tea that you can buy. Usually most health food stores will have slippery elm tea. And usually it has like licorice root and some other shit in it. But anyway, go to a health food store, mama, and ask somebody there. So with this healing crisis, what can happen is you can get flu-like symptoms. You're welcome. You can literally like get a flu or get a cold, and you're like, shit man, I just like, and some people get turned off by this, right? Because like they'll go to get energy work maybe for the first time, and or you know, maybe they're in the process a little bit, but they're not like super educated about it. They don't really know like what could happen, and maybe the practitioner doesn't walk them through things or make sure to check in with them on a regular basis in between, you know, when they're getting their sessions and stuff. And so, you know, what can happen is that you can get sick. And there's nothing wrong with you. It doesn't mean that your body is like having a negative reaction to getting energy work. It's actually a positive reaction. Something's coming up. And so with the plum pit chi and this like cold thing, like I haven't coughed this morning, oddly enough. And I'm not trying to jinx myself or anything, but like, holy fuck, like if this is, I've had a cough since like, it's been since last February 2017. I got really, really sick. I had and this was not me having another, like, I didn't have a session and then get sick and have a healing crisis then. This was just like, I got a fucking horrible, horrible flu. I was in bed, like knocked me out for like a week solid last February. And I was miserable and like literally, and I don't get, usually I can kick something out of my system and sort of get it, but not get it too bad. And this was like, it hit me so hard and so fast. And I was just like on my back and like feverish for days. And finally, you know, my fever broke and everything calmed down. But I had a cough that stayed with me. And like I said in another video, there was some stuff that happened in my old office where the roof was coming in, and super old building. So I got really worried about like the dust that was in the air because they weren't fixing it, blah, blah, blah. Point being, now in this moment, this is like a healing crisis that's happening. It's a low level, like I'm still functioning and I'm fine. But it's really interesting. And I wanted to share it with you because this is something that can happen. And like things are amping up, you guys, like for real. There is some really big energy moving around. And I know y'all can feel it because I'm hearing from people pretty much everywhere that, you know, they're having different symptoms, but they don't understand what's happening. And I know I sound weird because there's this thing in the back of my throat. But anyway, there's the cough. There's the cough. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you as another Ascension symptom because I think it's interesting. And I also noticed after my session with Kathy on Sunday, like the other thing that's kind of funny, and fortunately for me, I've been home since my session on Sunday, so I haven't really needed to go anywhere. I did have to run a couple of errands yesterday, but I was able to come right home. And the reason why is because we were doing a lot of like big work around my throat and continuing work at the lower chakras. And I think I might have mentioned that I like kind of put on weight like out of the blue over the last couple of weeks, like right like in my lower midsection. There's like no reason for it. I haven't been getting less exercise. I mean, I haven't been exercising a lot, but I'm like eating the same. I'm like getting the same amount of everything. And so it was kind of weird that I like noticed it's not a ton of weight. It's just a little bit, but it's there. And I noticed it. And I was talking to Kathy about it in session. And she mentioned that she had sort of a similar experience. But what I found interesting after the session is that I didn't like want to like, I tried to like wear pants and like wear a skirt and like, like just some, wear shorts. And I can't like put anything on the lower part of my body. Sorry, I have to plug my phone in 1 sec. It's like super uncomfortable. Sorry, I had to plug my phone in. It's super uncomfortable for me to like put anything on the lower half of my body, which is like really kind of awkward. It's sort of awkward because, I gotta like function in the world. Sorry, it's gonna be a little crooked. And there we go. But like it's like I don't want to put any pants or like nothing around my waist, so I've just been like hanging out in like long t-shirts. Obviously I have to work today, so I'm gonna put pants on, but that's something I hadn't experienced before. It was like, then I started thinking about the conversation I had with Kathy, and I was like, oh, like my second and my root chakra, like something's going on. And when I checked in with my body, which is something I suggest to my clients to do on a regular or to start practicing on a regular basis, when I checked in with my body was like, your lower chakras are like morphing into one chakra. So that's a thing I can talk about in another video. But our systems are going to evolve, which means that our cellular structure is changing, which means that our energy centers, they're separate. So like my as I was talking to my body, like I was seeing like images of like the lower chakras like turning into one giant chakra, which is something that I've been working with for a while. Within the energy system is getting my clients' bodies ready to do that, right? And like that was something that happened for me. That preparation happened years ago, and it was sort of you could look at it as an imprint or like a template that is like maybe activating now. I'm not sure. I'm still sort of like figuring out what's happening. But that's what my body told me last night. So, and I've been having like an ongoing conversation with my body for a few years now after I got really sick. And it was not a healing crisis. It was a healing crisis, but like one that lasted for like 7 months. And it was, and required traditional Chinese medicine to get better, actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, yeah, so that was another interesting thing to note, just to bring your attention to, is like, oh, my body feels weird here. Like, why? This is interesting and new. Like, should I freak out about it, or should I just like check in with my body and like see if, see what my intuition tells me and what my body tells me, and see if there's something that I can do to, facilitate a smoother experience of this. So, and the trick with listening to your body is, the key word here is listen. If your body tells you that it needs something, you have to do the thing, even if it's not convenient, even if it doesn't really make sense to you, just do it. Your body's not going to lead you astray. Your body is literally the only person that you can trust, literally, that has your best interest in mind at all times, literally. And so, but it takes practice to learn how to listen to your body. But the only way that you're going to be able to do it and practice it is to like actively start having a conversation. And the way to begin that is to sit down in a meditation and ask to speak to your body. Ask your body to come forward and show you what she looks like. And it is, even if you're a guy, your body is feminine. And the mind is masculine, and the mind and body have a dysfunctional relationship, which is why so many of us are unhappy in our bodies or disconnected from our bodies, in all of the ways that we can be and are. And so to begin to have a more functional relationship, we have to build trust first. And the body pretty much doesn't trust us to listen to it. And so she is going to, at first, I mean, she's not going to play games with you and be like, well, I want this, and then you give it to her and she doesn't really need it. It's more like, you know, she is going to see if you will give her the things that she like truly wants. And you may be surprised at first at what she requests, because it may be something that you already knew that you needed, but you were resistant to doing because you don't think you have the time or the money, or it doesn't seem that important, or it doesn't seem like it would make that big of a difference. But I mean, I sat down with my body when I was really sick, and she, the way that she appeared to me was as a badly beaten woman who could not pick herself up off the floor. And that was really scary. And I asked her what she needed, and she told me she needed the remedy that had been suggested to me by a practitioner. And my immediate response was, my knee-jerk response was, holy shit, are you kidding me? That's super expensive. And her response to me was, well, you spend money on all of the things you spend money on that have nothing to do with being healthy, and you're asking me what I need to get better, and I'm telling you, and now you're going to sit here and tell me you're not going to do it? And I was like, okay, all right, you're right. So then I started to like have an actual conversation with her. And I probably talked to my body that day for about half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe longer. It was a while ago. But that conversation was very enlightening. And I went, and as soon as I was able, I ordered the remedy and I started taking it. And it took me from August until January. No, I was sick. Well, yeah, I started taking the remedy. Was it in August? Yeah, it was in August. I was sick though, and from, God, it was like a year before, because I started getting eczema on my face and I couldn't figure out why. And it was partly because I was like seriously imbalanced internally, but also because I had mold poisoning. So yeah, I had been sick for like a few years, but it was like a low level sickness, and then like a bunch of things came together and made it so bad that like the eczema got so bad that I would wake up every morning and my eyes were literally like swollen, like this big, shut, and I couldn't see. And the only thing I could do was like put ice on my face until the swelling went down. And it was dry and flaky and itchy. And there were moments where I literally thought I might claw my own eyes out. And that's when I was contemplating suicide a lot, because there was nothing that was helping. And, I don't have health insurance because at the time, and still, I can't afford it. And I don't really believe in it anyway. I'm not going to give money to somebody that I need money to buy fucking groceries and pay my rent, so they can fuck right off on that. But anyway, if I get sick, I'll go to the doctor, and even if I have to pay a fine at the end of the year, it's still going to be less than a monthly insurance fee, so whatever. But point being, I did not have insurance. And it basically, this remedy cleaned my savings account out. It was not cheap. And I had to take it 2 or 3 times a day for almost 6 months. But it worked. And I got better, and my body knew it. And my body was like, just give me the thing that I need. And from that point forward, I was actively trying to find opportunities to include my body in conversation. Yeah, insurance is a fucking scam. And so the reason why I guess I'm bringing this up is because there's levels to the healing experience, and healing crises can happen more than once. And they do happen more than once as you work through the levels and layers of what you're carrying in your system. And I happen to work with a lot of people who have pretty extreme trauma in this lifetime. And the reason why, and the trauma that people typically have with me ranges quite a bit. But what's been interesting, I think, is that as I have matured as a practitioner, the kinds of trauma and the way that trauma has shown up in the body has changed for my clients. And it's not just trauma from this lifetime, but trauma from other lifetimes. And now, if you're familiar with epigenetics at all, the studies being done on cellular biology and inherited trauma, you are aware that we can inherit trauma from people in our families, and from pretty far back, we can hold trauma patterns that create imbalance in our system and perpetuate personality traits, tendencies, behaviors, fears, and behaviors. And our children inherit those things if we don't do anything about it. And the cycle continues, right? So we've evolved enough that this information has become relevant and available for us. And so we're learning about it now. And so part of my experience with like the plum pit tree is, in my lifetime, and I wasn't really planning on trying to make a long video, but this is what's coming out. So in my lifetime, hopefully this video saves, I haven't actually had a lot of physical trauma. I feel very, very lucky that I have not had the kind of trauma that many of my clients have experienced. With that said, I have had the opportunity to remember many of my past lifetimes where I did have trauma and where I caused trauma to other people. And I can tell you right now, that shit is fucking awful. Awful. Even just the remembering of it is awful. And like, I can't imagine, like, I mean, there have been times like where it was so vivid that it was insane. And I've seen other people's trauma in session, but definitely recognizing that of what I'm holding and what my family has been holding, there's a lot of trauma. And and certain people get people volunteer, and this is something that you may or may not agree with, but people volunteer to do this work when they have the opportunities and when they want to, and my clients are people who volunteered to work through this stuff in their families. Brave fucking souls, these people. I'm sorry, but I kind of have to blow my nose. Sorry. Just a little one. Sorry. And so with trauma, it can show up in your body in like when it's a big something is releasing, like what happened on Sunday with this like sloughing off and then catching on fire. And then I like was rising up like a phoenix. I could literally like feel like I had a wingspan and I was on fire and I'm flying around and my eyes were on fire, like I said before. And so when you have that kind of experience in session, not always, but sometimes afterwards, you can have what's called a healing crisis. And so, so that's just something to think about is this is another aspect of what can happen in as we're going through the ascension process, as you're choosing to find a practitioner to work with, if you do. And the key with this kind of experience is that hopefully you're working with somebody who can help you go through a process of understanding what's happening and assuage any doubt or fear that you have. Because a lot of practitioners will just sort of like work on you, and then as soon as you're out the door and they're not responsible for you anymore. And that's some old paradigm bullshit that I don't agree with, which is part of the reason why I charge a little bit more. And I could charge a lot more if I lived somewhere where people made more money, but I live in fucking Portland. And anyway, I charge a fairly high rate for the area. But the reason why is because I'm available for my clients. Like, the only time that I don't answer my phone, unless it's an emergency, I'm always looking at my phone, right? We all are. If it's an emergency on a Sunday or a Monday, I'll get back to you. If it's not, like, those are my days off, and I need those days off because the rest of the week I'm on. And I show up for my clients. I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to do a little bit of extra work, give you a little boost, whatever it is, because I know what it's like to fucking have to do this by yourself. I had no one to help me for years and years. And you know what? It fucking sucks. It sucked. I thought I was going crazy. And I had no one to bounce any of this stuff off until I started reading things like Sedona Journal. And there was a little bit of like reassurance through like reading from other practitioners that there was like some big stuff going on, or, you know, these are people who are channeling information. So that was helpful. And then I started to like connect with a few other people who I could have a conversation with it without having to explain everything to them. And so, who could give me some insight. Right. And so there's a lot more people now than there used to be who are going through these experiences, and it's scary when you don't know what's happening and you don't know who to talk, who to ask. I mean, the obvious resources in town, and some in other cities there's more resources, but here in Maine there aren't. There are a lot of really there are a lot of mid-level practitioners that are doing good work, but there are not as many people who are doing like really, really high level, really deep, really intense work, which is what people are starting to need right now. So anyway, hopefully you're working with somebody who can help you when it's time for you to do this work, if you choose. Walk you through ascension symptoms, walk you through how to take care of yourself during the different stages of your alchemical process and transformation. But if not, then you need to consider looking and finding someone who can help you, who is well versed in the balance between light and dark and isn't hyper focused on just light. Because if a practitioner is hyper focused on love and light only, they are not a balanced practitioner, and they cannot help you get all of the way in and through your trauma, which is ultimately what we need to do in order to do the healing that is necessary for the planet to shift in the way that we would like for it to. We all have to do this at some point. Maybe not in this lifetime, but we all will. And so if you're being called to this work, then find a practitioner. I'm in Portland. I do distance work. If you're not in Portland or in Maine, and or find another practitioner that you trust and can help, that can help you and is going to help you get the results and take you to the places that you're not comfortable going to by yourself, and can continue to educate you as you move forward. So yeah, today's ascension symptom is really just like a processing, again, healing crisis. Feels like a little bit of a head cold. Feels like it's in my sinuses. Feels like it's sort of in the central part of my head. It's the plum pit chi moving. I can feel it. My cough has been at a very low percentage today so far, which I'm really, really psyched about. And I just wanted to share that with you, and the other pieces that sort of came through as I've been getting ready. But I'm going to jump off. I hope that you guys have a really fantastic rest of your day and week. And I'll keep you posted. Like I said, I just started taking this remedy. It's not necessarily, I would do some research into the plum pit chi remedy thing. Yeah. You're sick today too with sinus issues. Yeah. So, again, there's something going around. If you've been doing healing work, if you've been asking for changes in your life, like your body is looking to balance out, and we can be just experiencing a big shift right now, because again, our cellular structure is changing, and you know, there's no like hard and fast science to back this up, but when you've been in the game as long as I have and other practitioners have, you just fucking know that shit. Like, obviously this is what's happening. We're evolving as a species of species on the planet. Like, this is like, so there are so many people talking about it, and it's like been like expected for so long. So that's why I'm talking about rest. That's why I'm always talking about drinking enough water, like really basic stuff. Our bodies are the slowest aspect of our energetic system to acclimate to any change. And so we can go through the mental, emotional, and spiritual stuff really fast, right? But our bodies are like, hold up. I need for you to slow down. I can't go a million miles an hour. I'm earth and water don't move like air and fire. Sorry, guys. And that's the balance of masculine and feminine, right? Is like learning how to balance all of that activity with all of the stillness and growth that needs to happen. You don't force things to grow. They grow on their own fucking time. Your body cannot be forced to go through transition any faster than it's going. So the best way that you can support yourself is to recognize that and to begin to find ways that you can acknowledge and honor the process and slow the fuck down instead of trying to like finish this thing already, because that's just going to maintain the toxic relationship that your mind and your body already have and that we see in the world around us between men and women, and that we're trying to change, right? Like, we're trying to find ways in which we can support each other into union. Yes, there's a lot of work to be done. No, this is not something that's going to happen in the next couple of decades. Like, it's not going to, this experience that we're going through together is going to take several generations to go through a process of healing and reorganization. But the cool thing is that like we get to be a part of it. And we're a really important part for those of you who are, you know, roughly in my age group, which I'm not going to tell you how old I am. But I'm old enough to have lived half my life in the old paradigm and half my life in the new paradigm, in maybe another 10 years, if that helps at all. But for now, I'm going to jump off. I hope that you found this video helpful or insightful. And if you didn't, then sorry you wasted your time. Have a good day. I will come at you again with something soon, just to check in, share the experience, and hopefully you can relate to it, because you're going through whatever changes you're going through, and it's individual for all of us, but we're all going through the same stuff together. All right, mwah. I love you. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.